Why does Uncut Gems stick with you long after the credits roll? Why do people walk out of the movie theater or finish streaming it feeling exhausted, shaken, and yet weirdly satisfied? It's because Uncut Gems isn't just a movie. It's a psychological workout. A raw, loud, stress-inducing plunge into the life of a man addicted to his own downfall. Directed by the Safdie Brothers and starring Adam Sandler like you've never seen him before, the film does something rare. It throws away comfort, calm, and control in favor of chaos, risk, and moral complexity. Today's video is not a recap. It's a full-on film analysis. We're going deep into what Uncut Gems really means. Beyond the gambling, beyond the opal, beyond the screams. We'll analyze the layers behind Howard Ratner's character, the chaotic cinematography, the sound design that mirrors his unraveling mind, and the film's haunting conclusion. We'll talk symbolism, addiction, betrayal, power dynamics, and why this movie has become a modern cult classic for film lovers and psychologists alike. If you're ready for a breakdown that doesn't just explain the movie, but opens it up, cracks it like the flawed gem it is, then stay with me. Let's dissect Uncut Gems. Howard Ratner isn't just the protagonist of Uncut Gems. He's a walking contradiction. A father and a fraud. A dreamer and a destroyer. A man constantly sprinting toward success while tripping over his own ego. At first glance, Howard looks like your typical New York hustler. Loud, flashy, addicted to risk. But the deeper you look, the more you realize. Howard isn't chasing money. He's chasing meaning. Not in a noble, enlightened way, but in a frantic, chaotic search for something, anything, that can make him feel alive. What defines Howard is his inability to stop. He has chances to pay off his debts, make peace with his estranged wife, settle down with Julia, or simply breathe. But each time, he chooses the more dangerous path. Why? Because the gamble is the reward. It's not about winning, it's about almost losing. That's where his addiction lies. Not in wealth, but in adrenaline. He's drawn to danger, like a moth to flame. Every decision he makes isn't about logic. It's about the feeling of being one bet away from greatness, even if it kills him. And that's what makes Howard such a compelling character. He's not traditionally likable. He cheats, he lies, he manipulates. But he's never fake. He lives fully in every moment, even if it's tearing his life apart. And maybe that's why we root for him. Because deep down, most of us know what it's like to chase something that won't love us back. To believe that the next big move is the one that'll fix everything. Howard just lives that fantasy out loud and pays the price. He's not a villain. He's not a hero. He's a man caught in the jaws of his own belief system, that risk is life and safety is death. Howard Ratner isn't just a gambler. He's a chaos addict. His addiction runs deeper than sports betting or pawn shop flips. It's neurological, psychological, spiritual. To understand Uncut Gems at its core, you have to understand this. Howard doesn't crave success. He craves the sensation of risk, the unknown, the rush of almost losing it all. He doesn't want safety. He wants the possibility of winning big, even if the odds are microscopic. That high? It's more powerful than any victory. This isn't random behavior. It mirrors real-life addiction psychology. Gambling activates the same dopamine pathways in the brain as substances like cocaine or heroin. But here's the twist. With gambling, the uncertainty is the drug. The anticipation, not the outcome, is what keeps people hooked. And Howard is a textbook case. His life is a cycle of self-sabotage followed by manic optimism. He pawns jewels to place bets, places bets to pay debts, and ignores every warning sign around him. His wife leaving, his debtors circling, his employees walking out. It doesn't matter, because he always thinks the next move is the one. The film constantly traps Howard in tight spaces, physically and emotionally. Elevators, doorways, narrow hallways. These aren't just stylistic choices. They represent his mental state. No exit, no air, no pause. He thrives on that suffocation. And when things get calm, when Julia offers love, when Garnet offers to buy the opal, he finds a way to inject danger back into the situation. Why? Because stillness terrifies him. The thought of not chasing is unbearable. That's the brilliance of the Safdie Brothers' vision. They didn't just make a movie about a gambler. They made a movie about the psychology of obsession. About a man who can't stop digging even when he's struck gold. Because for Howard, the thrill isn't in having. It's in almost having. Almost winning, almost surviving. It's a sickness, and it's what makes the final act of the film feel inevitable. Uncut Gems feels like having a panic attack in real time, and that's by design. The Safdie brothers don't just tell Howard's story, they trap you inside it. From the opening frame to the final gunshot, the film is an unrelenting sensory overload. Sound, editing, and camera movement all work together to put you in Howard Ratner's overclocked, overstimulated mind. Let's start with the sound design. Dialogue overlaps constantly. Characters talk over one another, argue, shout, interrupt. There are no calm moments, no polite pauses. Even basic conversations feel combative. Why? Because it mirrors Howard's life. Loud, crowded, full of pressure. You're not meant to hear every word. You're meant to feel the chaos. Then there's Daniel Lopatin's score. It's not your typical dramatic soundtrack. It's a fusion of eerie synths and pulsating tones. Alien, anxious, sometimes beautiful, always unsettling. It doesn't match Howard's world. It matches his head. The result is a mood that keeps you unbalanced and emotionally reactive. Now let's talk pacing. Most films give you rhythm. Tension builds, releases, then builds again. Uncut Gems refuses to give you that relief. It escalates, and escalates, and escalates. By the time Howard locks the goons in the vestibule and places his final bet, you're not just watching. You're physically uncomfortable. You're sweating with him. You're clenched like you made the bet yourself. Even the camera work plays a role. The shots are tight, claustrophobic, often handheld. It never gives you the distance or breathing room to feel safe. You're stuck in the frame, cornered, just like Howard. It's not cinematic in a traditional sense. It's immersive like a documentary filmed in hell. All of this is intentional. The Safdies aren't interested in spectacle. They want discomfort. Because that's what Howard feels. That's what addiction feels like. That's what living on the edge feels like. And the film forces you to live it too. In a way, Uncut Gems isn't a film you watch. It's a film you survive. If Uncut Gems were just about gambling, it wouldn't haunt audiences the way it does. What elevates it is its symbolism, quiet, cosmic, and deeply layered beneath the chaos. Let's start with the black opal. At surface level, the opal is the MacGuffin of the film, the rare stone Howard believes will change his life. But it's more than that. The opal represents obsession, ambition, and illusion. Its beauty mined from pain, literally carved out of Ethiopian laborers working in brutal conditions, then auctioned off in a glitzy American shop. It's the perfect metaphor for Howard's lifestyle, built on the backs of others, sparkling on the surface, cracked underneath. Howard sees the gem as salvation. Garnet sees it as power, but neither man sees it for what it truly is, just a rock. The value is invented, the meaning is imposed, and that's the point. Howard chases meaning in material things, hoping the next object, the next bet, will finally make him whole. Now, the ending ties this symbolism together with staggering force. As Howard lies dead on the floor, blood pouring, smile frozen, the camera pushes into the bullet wound in his face. But instead of showing violence or decay, it zooms into something that looks familiar: color, swirling, light. We've been here before. It's the same cosmic terrain we saw inside the opal at the film's opening. This visual symmetry tells us something. The universe of the stone, the illusion Howard poured his life into, is now inside him. He didn't just chase the gem, he became it. It's haunting, beautiful, brutal, because it shows that Howard's life, his chaos, his addiction, his drive, was never about winning money. It was about becoming something rare, something immortal, something impossible to fully understand. The bullet isn't just death, it's transformation. By the end, Howard is no longer just a man. He's a symbol of delusion, of ambition, of the dark beauty inside broken people. And that's why the final shot isn't violent, it's celestial. It reminds you, we are all specks in the same storm. And some of us, like Howard, burn out trying to shine too bright. In Uncut Gems, the women surrounding Howard aren't just side characters, they're mirrors reflecting who he is when the gamble isn't in play. Dinah, Howard's estranged wife, represents stability, structure, reality. She's the only person in the film who sees through his facade without flinching. She's been through the cycles, the lies, the cheating, the apologies, and she's done. When Howard tries to reconcile with her, she doesn't entertain the fantasy. Her response is brutally honest. "I think you're the most annoying person I've ever met." That moment isn't played for drama, it's played for truth. Dinah doesn't hate Howard, she's exhausted by him. In contrast, Julia represents the illusion that Howard is still young, desirable, and in control. She works at his jewelry shop. She calls him Howie. She gets tattoos of his name. She fuels his fantasy that he can live recklessly and still come out on top. But even Julia isn't just a prop. She has her own arc. When Howard accuses her of cheating, she walks away. When he pushes her out emotionally, she retreats. But when he places his final bet, he trusts her, not his family, not his business partners, but Julia. That trust is revealing. In a world full of betrayal and violence, Julia is the only person who stays loyal. She places the bet. She wins. And as she leaves the casino with over $1.2 million in hand, she looks hopeful, maybe even free. But is she? Some viewers argue that Julia will repeat Howard's mistakes, burn the money, chase the high, fall into the same chaos. Others believe she'll escape, smarter for having witnessed his downfall. The film offers no answers. That's intentional. Because both women, Dinah and Julia, stand at opposite ends of Howard's world. Dinah is who he should have stayed with. Julia is who he ran to instead. One grounded, one dangerous, one clear-eyed, one fantasy-fueled. And in the end, neither could save him. Howard's destruction wasn't caused by women. It was revealed by how he treated them. He wanted love, but not responsibility. Loyalty, but not limits. And when those contradictions collapsed, so did he. Howard Ratner lies, he cheats, he manipulates. He ignores his kids, risks his girlfriend's safety, and burns bridges so fast you can't even track the ashes. And yet, we root for him. Why? Because Uncut Gems doesn't ask us to like Howard. It dares us to understand him. It shows us every flaw, every selfish impulse, and still finds a sliver of humanity we can't quite reject. Howard is a man trying to prove his worth in a world that only values winning. In every deal, every bet, every fake smile, he's screaming one thing: I matter. He's chasing recognition in a world that will never give it willingly. And deep down, that hits home for a lot of people. He's not noble. He's not redeemable in a traditional sense. But he's honest about his need to win, even if that need consumes him. And we admire that honesty, even if we hate where it leads. The Safdie brothers weaponize this ambiguity. They push Howard to the edge, then let him fall. But the twist is, he wins before he dies. He beats the odds. His bet hits. For one glorious second, he does matter. He's not a joke. He's not a loser. He's the guy who knew something nobody else believed. And that moment, the pure high of victory, is what so many people chase in real life. Whether it's in business, relationships, or personal dreams, we all want that I was right moment. That see what I told you satisfaction. Howard gets it. Then he dies. It's tragic. It's painful, but it's also poetic. Because Howard would have found a way to ruin that win, too. He would have bet again, lied again, risked again. The story could only end one way. And somewhere in us, we knew that. We don't root for Howard because he's a good man. We root for him because he's real. And because in his chaos, we see a piece of ourselves, the part that gambles everything just to feel alive for 5 seconds longer. The ending of Uncut Gems hits like a freight train. 1 second, Howard is celebrating the biggest win of his life. $1.2 million on a long shot that paid off. He's screaming, smiling, hugging, calling Julia like he just won the world. And then, boom, a bullet to the face. Just like that. No warning, no buildup, just the end. But what kind of end is it? On the surface, it looks like punishment. The consequences of all his reckless choices finally catching up. And yes, Howard pushed too far. He locked armed men in a glass vestibule. He risked stolen money on a final bet. He gambled lives the same way he gambled parlays. That kind of risk doesn't end with applause. It ends in blood. But look closer. Howard dies with a smile on his face. He dies at peace. In a twisted way, he won. Not just the money, but the feeling, the rush, the proof that he was right. In that final second, he wasn't desperate or anxious. He was complete. That's what makes the ending so powerful and so divisive. Some see it as justice, others see it as freedom. The Safdie brothers don't give you a clear answer because the movie isn't about right or wrong. It's about obsession. And obsession has no happy ending, just release. Zooming into the bullet hole and fading into a cosmic, opal-like universe is no accident. It mirrors the film's opening, traveling into the gem from the mines of Ethiopia. That's not just visual symmetry, it's thematic closure. Howard became the gem. Rare, flawed, chaotic, beautiful, and ultimately broken. Whether you think he got what he deserved or simply what was inevitable depends on how you see life. Is it about doing things right or about doing them full throttle, no matter the cost? For Howard, the answer was always clear. Uncut Gems is not a comfortable film. It doesn't offer redemption arcs, clean resolutions, or characters who learn their lesson. It's messy, loud, relentless. But that's the point. This film doesn't just tell you a story, it forces you to live inside someone else's spiral, to feel the weight of obsession, the thrill of a gamble, the pressure of every bad decision layered on top of another. And then it ends. Not with peace, not with punishment, but with truth. Howard Ratner was never going to change. He wasn't built to. His addiction to risk was too deeply wired. And the Safdie brothers understood that. They didn't try to save him. They just showed him fully in all his flawed glory and let us decide what to feel. That's the brilliance of this film. It dares you to sympathize with a man you would never want to be. It shows you how easy it is to become the kind of person who can't stop chasing, even when the world is screaming at you to slow down. And in the end, when the noise stops and the universe expands inside a bullet wound, you're left sitting there, haunted. Not because Howard died, but because you understand why he lived that way. Uncut Gems isn't about diamonds, debt, or basketball. It's about people, about the lies we tell ourselves, about the thrill of almost, about the cost of chasing something we think will finally make us feel enough. And maybe the reason we can't stop thinking about it is because it gets too close to the truth. If this breakdown gave you something to think about, drop a comment below. Was Howard's ending justice, peace, or just inevitable? I'll be reading through and replying to the best takes. Make sure to hit the like button if you felt this analysis nailed the chaos of Uncut Gems. Subscribe for more deep dives into the psychology, symbolism, and storytelling behind today's most intense films. And hey, share this video with that one friend who still doesn't get why Howard had to die. This has been your full breakdown of Uncut Gems. Until next time, bet smart, breathe deeper, and don't lock yourself in a glass box with armed goons. Peace.